Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with a brand new episode of 50 Years in the Dungeon, the show I do to celebrate the fact that the tabletop role playing game hobby and industry is half a century old and more. And we're having a week. This week we're going to be doing a work in progress episode. See how prepared I am? It just rolls off the tongue. Work in the progress episode where I'm going to be doing work on a drawing that I began in a previous episode. In this case, well, I won't spoil the surprise. Not really a surprise since it was in the opening card, but we'll pretend. And while I do that, I'm going to have a friend chatting with me. And it's a friend you all know. And he's been here before. I've been on his various shows. We do lots of things together, and I just like hanging out with him. It is my good friend. If I'm right on the button here, it is Troy Hewitt. Hello, Troy Hewitt. How you doing tonight, sir?
Hey. I'm doing good.
Thank you for joining me. Always a pleasure to hang out and chat with you.
Always my pleasure to hang out with you, Stan. I love hanging out in the dungeon. It's one of my favorite places to be.
Michael walked in just as I was going. That's about par for the show, right? I mean, you felt right at home, right, Michael? Yeah. You'd think, after 3 or 4 years of doing this, I'd be a little better at it.
You're pretty darn good at it, I'd say.
Well, thank you. Thank you very
kindly. Can you hear me all right?
So, Troy, you do so many things. What is it that I should announce you as?
Acolyte of Stan, sumo trainee. No, I'm I work for Green Onion Publishing as sort of the community nerd outreach and engagement guy, and of course co-host of the sumo show with you, and just overall fan. So yeah.
Hello, David. Hello, Matthew. Thank you for joining in.
Ahoy, ahoy.
It's a lot of familiar faces, right, here for you too.
Yeah, we've got our Venn diagram of influences.
Right. It's like a ring of fire eclipse, right? It's not quite complete, but it's mostly there.
It's mostly there. Yeah, it'll leave a mark. Yeah, for sure. So I was going to say something to you, and then I forgot what it was.
Well, you got an hour or so to figure it out.
Nice. All right, good. If I don't figure it out, I'll make something up.
I don't doubt that you will.
I know what it was. I was going to recommend, have you ever thought of maybe like a brand shift of, Stan's Dungeon and call it the Fungeon?
No, I had not.
I floated that to you on text, sort of like, hey, what time am I supposed to be in the Fungeon? And you didn't respond, so either you thought it was a typo or you were ignoring me.
No. It took me a minute to respond. The problem is
you just.
I just accepted the Fungeon. Yes, that's what I knew what you were talking about.
What do you think, chat? The Fungeon.
I think that could be a different show.
I think very different, probably. Yeah. Potentially quite different.
Right. Good evening, folks, and welcome to the Fungeon.
We're telling jokes in the Fungeon today. I like it. The Coronas merge. Yeah, indeed. I sure like that Michael and chat guy.
He's a good guy. He's a
good guy. Really excited to hear all of the stuff that he's doing with his working and helping out with a convention, a TTRPG convention. Yeah, it's right up his alley. It tickles me to hear him, and I woe be to that convention. They're going to be very buttoned up.
Is it the same? Is it Paige? or is it?
Yeah, right. Isn't it Paige,
Yeah.
Michael?
No, Paige, Michael. That's when I first met Michael in person. Was at Paige, and I'd already been impressed with him online. He doubly impressed with me in
Oh
person.
yeah,
Yeah,
great guy.
yeah, yeah. Oh, speaking of Paige, They have a weekly live stream on Friday evenings, and I'm gonna be a guest on it this week.
Oh hey, nice, nice.
That'll be nice. I'm gonna be a guest at the show again next year. I'm doing. I did a little art that was featured at at this year's show, and I'm doing some other art
Nice.
for some projects with them. And I'll be back. I'll be back again as a special guest.
I'll be honest, I don't know much about them other than the fact that
It's
real
it's
cool people hang
Southern
out with
New
them.
Jersey in January.
That might explain why I don't.
It's you know how they talk about George Washington and his long winter in Valley
Oh yeah.
Forge. That almost that's where it is.
Oh, I
It's in
see.
it's in Valley Forge in the middle of winter.
Valley Forge, that's something else. So there's a new feature that I don't know if
Did
it's
Michael just say
Google.
Owen is a toot? Oh no, Owen is too.
Owen
Yes,
is Owen
Owen
is,
is going to be a special guest this year too.
and he's
Oh,
also a toot.
he is a toot.
So, uh, Google has introduced a new feature that I never wanted that I keep accidentally doing, which is it combines the tab into one and splits the screen.
Yeah.
That is obnoxious.
Yeah, yeah, a lot. Like Apple has introduced that, and my iPad keeps doing that to me. That's a really obnoxious thing that every technology company seems to think that we want.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. It's just nuts, and I'm not sure how to decouple it. So you're just kind of plugged in here with a with another page that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, I hate to pull focus.
Well, that's what you're here for.
That is sort of what I do. Yeah, it is my only superpower.
So, how are things going in the world of Mumamu and?
Going very well. Interesting you should ask. I was just kind of every once in a while I like to kind of take a spin through analytics and sort of see how things are going. This stupid page. Get out of here. I keep looking at you and looking at this piece of work that I'm supposed to be finishing and it feels like it's shaming me. Anyway, things are going well. We've got our live stream on Monday for Green Ronin Publishing where we do Mutants Masterminds Monday.
Mhm.
And we have the delightful Alex Thomas and the effervescent Steve Kenson and myself, and just an audience filled with ne'er-do-wells. Just every last one, ne'er-do-wells, and then we just have a blast. But the numbers are up. People are more subscribers. We're about ready to hit a big benchmark. I'm really stoked about it. Then there's Thurstage, which is this. We've adopted a project. It was supposed to be a battle map, and it has morphed into an actual setting.
I've watched you go. What we call that. We professionals call that design creep.
Yeah, feature creep from the video games arena, and boy, the creep is really featured.
You guys have a
We
lot
have,
of creep.
yeah, we do, but the good news is, in this instance, it's a great collaborative, creative endeavor that has the chat kind of weighing in on stuff, and then has two really prominent and just lovely human beings and members of the Green Ronin kind of greater community are helping out with it, and
Mm.
it is fun in that regard. When I kind of look to the future of like, what are we supposed to do with it when we're done? And I realize, it's the journey. In this particular instance, we can be as weird as we want and have a giant cosmic dragon destroy a planet and sleep, and then call the humans to its mouth when
Yeah.
it wakes up. It has a snack. So yeah,
So hey,
that's right.
speaking of technology that doesn't work the way you want it to,
Yeah.
my my system that I use to do this stream is giving me conflicting information. And
Uh-oh.
one is that we have at least seven viewers, some of whom are leaving chat messages right now. And then another
I see them now.
window
Yeah.
is telling me right now that I'm offline.
Oh, they definitely can hear us. I
That's,
see.
that's,
I don't see you with the
that's
fungineering degree, says David Schwab.
mixed messages.
So what to do? What to do?
Well, as long as everyone seems to, as long as we're getting chats, then that means we're not offline, and the window that's telling me that is just lying.
Right. What do you think, chat? Can you validate our supposition that we are indeed?
And then Troy froze, which tells me that Troy froze and went offline. Now, either don't trust the offline message, says Steve Winter. Okay, great. I think it's really funny that the minute Troy tried to help figure it out, he froze and disappeared. What you gonna do? How does that work? What if I turn this off and turn it on again? We'll see. Hopefully Troy will call back. There he is. There's Troy. Hi, Troy.
Right when I said that,
But
disconnect.
you just let me help you out by
Oh, technology.
oh boy. We were talking about earlier, and you paid me the very nice compliment of saying that I'm somewhat good at this. The thing that makes me believe that is when stuff like that happens, I just roll with it. Right? That's a
Yeah, that's
sign
how
that
you. I mean,
right.
honestly,
You don't
yeah.
panic. You don't go. Although in my heart I am.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the thing. You don't want to have all this nonsense and have to, crawl through gravel and
Yeah.
glass to try to get a live stream on the air. I was going to say, there are people that I do some live streams with some other folks time to time, not as much as I used to, kind of in the sort of activist arena. I'll tell you what, some people just lose it when
Yeah.
there's here we are, trying to get a live stream going and the person can't connect. And so they're calling me repeatedly. And I'm
Yeah.
like, listen, it's just chill out. They're like, we can't see you online. It's like, yeah. Anyway, no, you handle it really well. If there was a digital disaster, I would want you to be around.
Well, if there's a digital disaster, I am there.
If there's a digital disaster, I am likely to cause.
Right? You can count on me being around.
Nice.
So you were describing the weird giant space dragon that has
Yeah,
people living in its mouth.
that's right. And on its back.
Yeah.
The sort of sultry, um, kind of naughty city of Fornax is in the mouth, and it's massive, big mouth. And then on the ice spires of its back is Fornax in the mouth, and I'm trying to remember the name. It's Michael. Do you remember what it is, Michael in chat? It's Fornax and Etheria. And we may change that because that feels a little He-Man-y.
Okay.
I don't know if that's. I mean, I feel like Etheria is taken somewhere.
Well, Eternia is where He-Man is from.
There we go. Right. Yeah, but Etheria feels like something.
I'm sure. Yeah.
But it's a working title, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's an interesting story, and we've got some real clever twists and turns. Like the fact that the dragon's actually taking a nap and then calling the people to it, as a path of this particular adventure. So the GM should decide to do something different, as if a
Right.
GM is going to get its hands on this. So we'll see.
You never know. I mean,
Yeah.
you got viewers. You've got that whole atomic think tank thing.
Oh yeah, that's our little community hub. Which reminds me, look at this hat.
Oh, mighty.
That's right. I did a little promo for us. They had just reached out and said, "Hey, would you mind recording something and talking about why you use Mighty? And we'll
What
send
is
you some swag, and we'll edit your video." And
what is mighty?
Mighty Network is the host for the Atomic Think Tank.
I see.
Yeah. So they sent me this really cool hat and a mug. They actually sent me 2 hats and 2 mugs. So one for a friend.
You can drink out of both mouths.
That's true. My sober mouth and my drunk mouth. Yeah. So that's that's that.
All right. Well, thanks.
What are you drawing today?
Oh, today, glad you asked. Today, I'm going to be drawing. Going to be working on as I grab my iPad Pro and Apple Pencil and Procreate is the app. I say that because people always ask, "What tools do you use?" And I want to know. None of them are sponsors. I get nothing for saying that other than knowing that I answered someone's question. But it's going to be this. It is the cover to Jean Rabe's first Dragonlance novel, Dragonlance Fifth Age. It was the premier novel in the Dragonlance Fifth Age line. It's called The Dawning of a New Age. Original by Jeff Easley.
Looking good.
And I have already done my pencil adaptation, and now it's time to grab. Well, it's all digital. It's not really pencil.
Yeah.
Nor is it ink. So now I'm going to grab my other brush and I'm going to ink.
Nice. Ink it real good.
Ink it real good. Ink,
Oh, I think we were singing 2 different songs.
Yeah, I was purposely not going for the real song, just for.
Oh, just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
Yeah, we've been down that road before, haven't we?
Yeah. All right. So what I'm trying to figure out is
slow as you boot up and the iPad. Oh yeah. And it's chugging a little bit.
Hmm.
Our folks in the chat are letting us know that things are a little chugging along since you started your iPad.
Yeah. I think I just need to get a computer with more RAM. Is really what it boils down to. Apparently, I'm just skating by.
Hey, you were doing for a while you were kind of attending a group that sort of like an accountability club sort of thing for streamers. Were you doing that?
Yes, I was part of
Lala and
Live Streaming Pros is the name of the group, and I was a member there for. Oh, Troy is frozen up again. Anyone want to bet? Oh, I was about to say, anyone want to bet that he's about to crash out? He's either coming back or he's crashing out. He'll be back. And it says I'm offline again. This has got to be a RAM problem. I wish that there was an easy fix for this, but there's not, given that I'm on a Mac Mini. I guess the real big fix is it's about time for me to get a new Mac Mini. This one's closing in on 6 or 7 years old. Sadly, that's not in my budget. I'll repeat this when Troy comes back. All right. Well, what I'm looking at here, what I was about to say to Troy, is that I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do on what layers. Right now, I've just got 2 layers. One has the dragon and the obelisks, and the other has all the people. But I'm thinking that's not what I should do for the final thing. I think that front obelisk and the people should be paired together, probably on 2 different layers, but grouped. That's what I'm going to start. That's the presumption I'm going to start with. So let's start with the obelisk. Oh. Sandcast banishment. Oh, yeah. Hi, Troy.
Hey,
fancy meeting you here. And
Good to
just
be
as I
here.
start talking about my RAM problems, tell me that was a problem on your end, please.
I
It
don't think
probably
it
wasn't.
was. It was just sort of. I was connected to all the, everything else.
Yeah, no, I said I asked you to tell me that, even though I knew it wasn't true.
Oops, my phone is making vibrating noises. Let me turn this sucker off.
While you were gone, I was saying I'm trying to decide how many layers to use for this, and I'm
All right. So how do you go about making that decision?
well. I mean, I know I start by figuring out um, what's grouped together, things I want to be able to adjust and maybe move around over other layers.
Mm,
Right now, this whole thing has two layers. Right now, you can see there's a layer of the dragon and the obelisks, and there's also the layer with the people. But I think that I'm going to take this front obelisk and these front people and make them two layers that are grouped together, so they exist
yeah.
above everything else. And then the dragon, it will be a layer. I don't know if
Will you go like 3 or 4 layers deep? You think, or
there will no, they'll end up being 10 or 15 layers when all is
okay,
done.
right?
Because even the obelisk, any single layer will have 3 layers. There's
Mm,
the line layer, just the line drawing, and then there's a flat color layer, and then there's a details like shadows and special effects.
mosses and lichens and things.
Well, no, those will be flat, right? But it'll just be
I
a
see.
single flat green. And if I want it to look like it's got some kind of fuzziness, or because of the light, there's a shadow on one side and the lightness on
Yeah.
the other, that'll be basically an effects layer.
What a piece of art! That is just amazing to look at. The depth is pretty awesome.
And hopefully, when I'm done, and one of the things about making them different layers is then I can do things like I often do. I'm drawing all of these with a black outline for the line. But when I'm finished, I will take the layers that are further away and make the outline not black. It'll be, in this case, it'll probably be a dark blue, and then a
Right,
lighter
right.
dark blue, so they feel further away.
So, with your artistic talent, I mean, what came first? Was it a desire to draw, and then you taught yourself, or did shading and depth and things just kind of come to you?
Like everyone I know who winds up being any kind of professional anything, right? The desire to do the thing just for fun is what leads to it,
Yeah,
right? When we're kids, we all draw, and then sometime, usually around the age 8 or 10, there's something switches on with I'm not good enough, so
yeah,
I need
yeah.
to stop doing this. And most of the people, oh, and the people who are good enough, enjoy it and keep doing it. But then there's a bunch of people who still aren't good enough and keep doing it, and eventually they learn because you don't get worse at something you keep doing. I mean, you need to uh, uh, you need to
Could you
nurture it.
freeze? Am I frozen?
You can't just draw anything, but over time, if you care and you look and you study, usually it comes from copying people whose work you like. Right? As a kid, you like peanuts. You draw some
Oh yeah,
peanuts. You learn how to do that. You get better at
tracing.
drawing that kind of thing. Yeah, tracing and then drawing it on your own, drawing your version of it. Go into comic books and you find the comic book character or
Oh
comic book
yeah,
artist whose work you like, and you draw that, and you try and look like it, and you learn why did he do it that way,
yeah.
and then it grows from there.
Well, for me, I took, I drew that. There's a turtle in the back of a magazine, and I drew that, and then I won a contest, and um, then they flew me out to a place where people draw things, and they were like, "I'm sorry, you're just too. We can't harness this art,"
Oh,
and so
well,
I gave up.
you know
Was
the
it a
funny
turtle? There was a few things. A pirate, I think one is one
it's
was
a
one too. What
pirate.
were those things?
So here's the really funny thing. Um, Charles Schultz used to work for that company, and Charles Schultz got his start
Oh,
doing that. Yeah.
really? What
Yes.
what did they do? They just, I mean, it makes it
It-
feel
It's
like
a
they're
it's a
they're
st-
hunting for talent, but it also
it's a
feels a little.
remote study course. It's a study by mail course.
Oh, I
Like
see.
it was the I'm gonna it's got to be him. It doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. In fact, I will maintain what I said before. It probably isn't. It's probably my system that's causing this problem. But it's funny that he keeps just disappearing. Hi.
Hello. This is a little more arduous than I.
Well, anytime you get tired of it, you don't have to stay here. I do. It's my show.
That's true, but I do enjoy hanging out. But I'll give it a couple more goes. I know, doesn't it seem like it, David Shepard? Is there a cat chewing on his internet cable? I wish I had a cat.
um yeah, so it's of the day, it was the same thing as the people who are selling courses, right? You sign up for online courses. There was no
Yeah.
online there then. Uh, it was by mail. It was courses by mail, and this was a
How fun.
whole company which is still around today,
Right.
which does art courses by mail.
Hmm. I'm trying to see if it's me, if I free up some of this internet. There we
Um,
go. I feel like I hear you.
yeah. So
Um,
yeah, Charles Schultz, Sparky to his friends, uh, started doing that uh, course. It basically, I mean, I've read him talking about it more than I've read anything else. They send you um, they send you get a bunch of equipment. Here's the type of pen you should use. Here's the type of brush you should use, and now here's your assignment is draw this thing. And kind of like the draw the mouse, it very often was here's an image, recreate this in some way, and you would mail it in to the company, and he eventually got a job working for the company as one of the people that when you mail it in, an artist would look at it and mark it up with notes and mail it back to you while you were doing the next week's lesson. And he's gone again. I think he just doesn't like. I think he's just pretending to be my friend. What in the world says he, says Troy? Hey Troy, you're here. You're here in person and in chat. That's great. That's quite a trick.
yeah, I just wanted to. Yeah, I wanted to see if it was me. Was it me or was it you? But I'm not inconclusive.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
probably both of us.
I imagine our powers combined, creating confusion and
Yeah,
chaos.
that happens a lot to us.
Seems on brand. Um,
All right. So now the other thing I'm going to do is because this is closer, I'm going to decide right away that I'm going to want these lines to be thicker. Again, this is one of those perspective things. Something that's closer in the drawing, you draw with a thicker outline to make it feel more
Okay.
in your face.
Yeah, the depth of that piece of art is very cool. I'm trying to get a sense of the positioning of the dragon. So is he sort of
He's sort of leaning. His tail is towards us, like out.
okay?
Like he's in
So,
and
but his
leaning
butt is
away.
kind of okay.
Yeah, I mean the one of the things is this was, as I say, this was the first novel in the Dragonlance Fifth Age series, and one of the things the Fifth Age setting did was introduce dragons that are bigger than any dragons you've ever seen before.
Ooh, I
So
see.
that was part of the idea. This is just to get this concept of this gigantic dragon, like kaiju-sized dragon.
And he's hungry.
Yeah, he ain't
An
happy.
intense look. I love someone in chat said that the guy there sort of has a Tom Selleck look about him.
Yeah. Character's name is
I agree.
Rig.
Rig.
Yeah. And
That's appropriate.
Rig is a pirate. He's also a very snappy dresser. And
Yeah, I can see that. And he's
wherever
got
they
a lady
go,
friend there.
wherever they go in this story, Rig likes to do some shopping.
Oh, a big shopper.
Yeah, yeah. Usually for clothes. Rig likes to go and get some new clothes because it's all dirty from adventuring, and he needs to look good.
Only the best for Rig.
That's right.
And what was his lady friend? What was her name?
You know what? The fact that I remember it's Rig says a lot. This was
Fair enough.
this was 30 years ago.
Now, who was the artist that did this?
This is Jeff Easley who did the original painting.
Jeff Easley.
All right, so now I'm going to turn that back
Oh
on.
my gosh! Of course, yeah. Beautiful work, this guy.
You see, he's got got a little Tom Selleck in him, but he's also got a little, smartiness and
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Michael in chat, a man after my own cut purse. This guy, Jeff Easley's work is tremendous.
Jeff is one of the true giants of the. Talk about giants, not just the dragon, right? One of the greats. I think that Jeff is probably the person whose paintings I've done the most homages to in this series. Drop the opacity on this so I can see it a little clearer.
Now, you met him? Do you know him?
Yeah, no, he worked when I was at TSR. He was still working in the artist room. I had him do. I worked with him on a bunch of different things. He was doing covers really for projects I was doing, and
he's got this talent to really capture the expression of these creatures, and it's really, really pretty awesome. Now I'm trying to find this piece of art.
The one I'm working on?
Yeah, but I'm falling into the rabbit hole of all the other pieces of art. Just amazing.
Yeah, you think of class.
Wait, did Jeff Easley? What was that?
What? Did Jeff Easley?
I was going to ask you. Did he do the red the cover for No, that wasn't him, was it?
No, you're thinking of Larry Elmore's. The red box with the dragon and the warrior you can see from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Larry Elmore.
Got it.
I think. Yeah. But he did the cover of the the Player's Handbook from that era, and the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Monster Manual.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He did the
Boy, his work sure has evolved over time. I mean, he's really. Michael in chat says you should have him write the introduction to the 50 Years book.
have Jeff write it.
Oh
Jeff,
no, I think they're talking about me.
Oh, you? Sure.
No, they're talking about Jeff.
So Jeff, let's say I love Jeff. I don't know Jeff well enough to say that. I'm sure he'd be embarrassed if I said I love Jeff, but I love Jeff. He's awesome.
Probably not. Yeah.
Uh, I, I certainly know him well enough that when we see each other, we know each other, and we're like, "Hey, how's it going?" But I love Jeff. Jeff is not a talker, so I thought about doing all this and people to have on as guests. He was one of those names that was almost immediately popped in as an idea. I could have Jeff as a guest, and I almost immediately said nope.
Yeah.
And I don't know that he would want to. He doesn't like to. He's not the kind of person that likes to be interviewed or do public stuff. He draws and he likes to interact with people. He loves interacting with fans at cons and stuff. I've never seen him do that, but I've also never ever seen him look for an opportunity to be out front. Wants his art.
Right. Yeah.
And like I say, I adore Jeff, but just a regular conversation with him, he's a man of very few words. They count. He's a very funny guy, but he's funny in as few words as possible.
Well, I have to use every word that I know to be funny, and I do daily.
Yeah.
What's the name of the magazine that this is from?
Not a magazine. This is a novel.
The novel it's from?
The novel is Dawning of a New Age by Jean Rabe. And I was originally going to do this drawing on the show I did in honoring Jean Rabe, who passed away, sadly, in January of this year. But even worse tech problems than have been plaguing today. And so didn't do any drawing that day. And I came back on and did a special show to start this drawing because I wanted to still have it. And that's how we got here today. Are you finding anything? Have you frozen again? Your silence tells me you've frozen again. No, now you've moved a little, so you haven't fully frozen. This is bizarre. I'm going to continue to think that it's my system and not yours because that your offline signal has come on again. How funny Stan doesn't realize he's having a tech problem as he talks. Yeah, well, that's me. That's the biggest challenge for me about this show is that I want it to be, the drawing part of the show is in order to do it, I need to have my head down like this. That's why I love having people like Troy pop in to be guests. Troy, yes, I know you've locked up again. I figured that out. Took me a minute, but I figured it out. Yeah, what am I going to do? I don't know. I'm going to keep drawing. Keep drawing and babbling, looking up every once in a while. People put comments in the chat. I will speak to them. If Troy comes back, I'll certainly let him in. But if he doesn't, well, who could blame him? Ay, ay. I have taken, I'd say, the problem, one of the problems I have on my end is the fact that don't have enough RAM, I think. But the other thing I do before every show is I reboot my computer to free up as much RAM as I can. And I did. I restarted the computer less than half an hour before going on. So I don't know what else I could do. And this doesn't happen every week. Like you can vouch for that, Michael. You're here every week. This only happens sometimes, which makes it hard to track down the problem. You got to be able to replicate a problem in order to troubleshoot it. And this is an intermittent problem that resists replication. Let's see. Well, now there hasn't been a comment in chat in a while. I'm beginning to worry that it is me being offline, but I won't worry about that either. There's nothing I can do. Now, the other problem that persists is that my internet provider is Comcast. Need I say more? And I recently upgraded so I would have more bandwidth. But that doesn't stop them from just having days where coverage pops in and pops out. Yeah, it's strong. In fact, I ran a speed test before this, and I had great speed. Upload and download. But if it's dropping out intermittently, it could have great speed and then nothing, and that doesn't help. Right? There's nothing I can do about that. Let's see. I see. Question for Stan: how hard is it for me to draw stuff on one layer on top of layers behind that layer and ignore the rear layers? Well, it's something you certainly need to practice, but that also is one reason why I do the layers in multiple colors. So it's very easy for me to see the purple as opposed to the blue. Now, I also drew this in a much darker purple, as you can see here, but that was making it difficult for me to see the black over the purple, so I dropped it down. But I dropped it down to a level that I still can distinctly see the purple. And then I just ignore the blue. The blue doesn't matter. Steve says, I had good internet, but that was before my neighbors cooked dinner and started streaming their TV shows. Yeah, well, yeah. When you're right, you're right. And Steve Winter, he's right. Yeah, so it's not, let's say, it's not something that, or it's something that probably the first time you try and do that, draw over layers like that, you will find it challenging. But it's also something that you will probably, or one would probably get used to pretty quickly, especially if you employ tricks like making the different layers different colors. and then dropping opacities. And the other nice thing about having things on different layers is sometimes I just turn off the layer. Right there, I could just turn off the blue layer entirely, and then I'm just drawing them. Um, it's a little less dynamically interesting for you guys. Also, when I create a process video, one of the things about working with Procreate as an app is that it automatically creates a process video which shows every drawing step I make in a video that I can replay. And that video is just more interesting if I leave more on the screen. It will show the whole thing like that, and if I turn off the background there, it'll just look like this because it doesn't zoom in and out. It shows the whole page. So I do like to think about that too, trying to get a good video that I can share with folks. I share that with members who are paying members of the Substack for the show. 50 years in the dungeon.substack.com. You know, I can even click a little thing. If you're a paying member of the Substack, you get the process videos every time I complete a drawing. People who are members of my Patreon occasionally get process videos. I should probably do that more often. I just need to work it into my routine to remember to do that. And for a while, actually, I really need to do one of these soon. I like to have some differentiation between the Substack and the Patreon. So the process videos is something that you only get for sure on the Substack. But several months after I put them up, I will sometimes make a collected video. Like each one of these process videos is a minute long, but I'll string like 5 or 6 of them together into one 5 or 6 minute video. That's the way that works. And stick some music behind it, and then share that with the Patreon folks. Haven't done that in a while. Just saying it out loud reminds me that it's definitely time that I do that again soon. Bum bum bum. Yeah. This is a really fun piece of art. The painting by Jeff, and it represents certainly an era of Dragonlance that had its time and went away, and sadly that was the part that I was in. But like I say, it also does remind me of when we as the Dragonlance team at the time got to read Jean's novels in draft form and comment on them, because this was the beginning of this new version of the setting, and we wanted to make sure that the novels and the product and the game product synced up as closely as possible. And I learned a lot. That was the first time I'd ever gotten to comment on a manuscript. I think in the end, I wish I knew more. wish I knew then what I figured out by doing that and other things. I think that we were a little more precious about some of the details than we needed to be, and a little more full of ourselves as writers than we probably needed to be. We were never insulting, and we respected Jean too much. But let's say we did have a lot of laughs at the shopping. Because it wasn't just this novel; it was every novel in this series. And I think we went on to look, and we came to the conclusion that just about all of Jean's novels had shopping scenes in them, and that was just a feature of a Jean Rabe novel. Which, again, now that I think about it, so what? That's fine. In fact, that's something that you don't get, and there's people that love that don't get well served by other novels that don't have shopping scenes. But everyone had, again, these Jean's characters were not were very often characters that people in the game department had created, or had, at the very least, created précis for. Because we needed characters that were representative of what was going on in the setting. And all writers get a little precious about the characters they create. I will say that as a writer. I do not know a writer that is not a little protective and precious about the characters that they created. And, of course, again, like, we created the characters, and I was not part of I came in after that point. But I bought in on the protectiveness anyway. Because, a good team member. But we were maybe a little overprotective. And whoever it was that had created Rig just didn't think that shopping was what he would have done. Which doesn't matter, because the character was created for Jean to write and Jean to flesh out. And she did. And he's a fun character. He became one of the most popular characters in the series. Like I say, I wish I knew more then. And so true about youth, right? We all look back at our youth and think there are moments we go, "Oh man, not that I did wrong, but I think I would have done better if I just knew some of the things I know now." Not Steve Winter, of course. He was perfect all along. Let's see. I'm going to come back here and see what's going on. In the chat, Wasi took things back to the War of the Lance era for 5e, but I suppose that you or other people could do 5th age DM skill stuff. I suppose we could, but I mean, first of all, for me, it has been 25 or 30 years since 25 years anyway, since I was involved actively in it. It is well past what is near the front of my brain, and I was talking about a similar. I wasn't talking about this in particular, but I was talking about a similar kind of thing. It was work for hire, in that I was paid to do this thing and create these characters for someone else's property. In this case, I was on staff. I felt, when I was part of the team, I felt a very strong connection to it. But when I wasn't on the team anymore, I very easily and pretty quickly kind of gave up my sense of possessiveness over it. So, I don't know that I have a lot to say about these characters or that setting. But yeah, I think if anyone from the old team wanted to, I think that'd be great to see someone go back and do some Fifth Age stuff. I think the key, one of the problems we suffered from then was that Wizards or TSR at the time and Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman were feuding. Wizards did some crappy things. Margaret and Tracy were mad, understandably. There was a tension there. And although the Dragonlance Fifth Age team talked directly with Margaret and Tracy as much as we could, it it wasn't official, and we tried to get their involvement, but the fans they felt again rightfully snubbed by the company, and were certainly not interested in promoting someone else's product and someone else taking their story in a way they never imagined it. So, because they felt that way, and they weren't ever rude to us in person or public, in private or public, but they certainly did not disencourage their fans from being upset on their behalf, and they never really were supportive of the line. And I think that at this point, and that's one of the things that damned the line, sales-wise, popularity-wise. Let's stop and take a look. Okay, so again, everything overlaps now. When I put color in, right now you can't see what's going on, but when I put color in for the characters, they will float above that. This is going to be one group. I'm going to group them. And I'm going to turn that group off. So I'm going to move on to drawing something else. I guess the next layer is going to be the dragon. The dragon itself. Anyway, if anyone was going to try to do something with Fifth Age these days, I think you would kind of need to have some kind of, I don't know if assurance is the right word, but some reason to believe that particularly Margaret and Tracy were going to be supportive of it. Because I think that the most Dragonlance fans would begin by being antagonistic towards it, and it would need to have Margaret and Tracy telling them, no, it's good, we can have more than one thing. It's all right, we support this. And if they didn't, I think that whoever did that would be doomed to see a similar lack of support from the fan base that you were trying to sell to on the DM's Guild. All right. David Shepard says, one of the things I find interesting about D&D novels is they often feature mundane but interesting things RPG designers can't be bothered to include in source books. I mean, part of that is a natural tension between what game products are for and what novels are for. Game products in general are supposed to be giving you material, putting out material that the DM can use and adapt in their game. And novels, like movies or television shows or comics, are telling a specific story about a specific set of characters in a specific situation. And that gives you all kinds of options to put things in that um, serve those desires, those needs, those causes. And when you're doing game design, and when you're doing either one, whether it's novels or game design or adventure design or world building, products, you have a limited number of pages. Your limited page count. You can only cover so many things, and so particularly for the for game design, as I say, you're trying to create a product, create a book that gives material that will be useful to DMs, to the largest audience possible, really. And when you're telling a story, you are telling a story about that character. You're hoping the largest audience possible will enjoy your story, but you are in control of all those things. So if you want the shopping, again, just picking it because it's what we were talking about earlier. But you could pick anything. If you want to include seamanship, if you really want to make sure that this book shows what it's like to be a sailor and what it's like to be on a sailing ship, you can include a lot of scenes and things that go into great detail, much greater detail than you'd want in a general purpose product, unless it was specifically a product about sailing ships. And even then, you still get more detail in a novel than you do in a game product, because a game product needs to be general and generally applicable to a wide array of people who are doing that thing, as opposed to the specific set of circumstances that are happening in the novel. So, I don't know that we, again, you know what, to continue to pick on shopping, it is certainly a thing that you can do in the novels that you wouldn't do in most role-playing game products. However, let's think about a really great novel from just a few years earlier than this, and Jean may have even been involved in writing this, Aurora's Whole Realm Catalog, which is basically a shopping catalog as a product full of items and things, beasts, magical items, all kinds of stuff. But it's a shopping product, and it's great. God, I don't know how many of you have remember it, and if you weren't around when it came out, what you've heard about or think about it. It was a great product and very well beloved in its time. But even then, there were people that just mocked the heck out of it for being nothing more than a shopping list. But it's exactly what it was, and it served that purpose great. I love that product. When I was working at TSR, working at Wizards too, and working at any company, you get a lot of chances to pick up products off the free table. When someone has something they don't want anymore, they just leave it. There's usually a spot in the company where you can leave free things. And you wander, you get to pick up products that you weren't involved in, or something that you wanted an extra copy of. There's some books that every time I saw them on the free table, I let them sit there for a little while, and if no one picked them up in a day or two, I took them. And Aurora's Whole Realm Catalog was one of those. I gave copies to lots of different people I knew. Always had one in my office and one at home. Probably still have one or two in boxes around here somewhere. Yeah, like I say, that was the shopping RPG catalog. So or product. But you won't find that in most products. You're right. You're 100% right about that. And there are other things like that. Any kind of specific thing you love that you want to see more of that there's just not room for in most products. Sometimes the way to success is to just do the thing that no one else has done. No one has ever taken the time to make that thing. Oh, I'll make it. Brilliant! You are now crowned a genius. Um, let's see. Scroll back up and see. Um, Michael says you have to learn to let go in a shared universe. You absolutely do. Uh, um, you have to. You have to. Uh, if you are going to, if you're going to work for hire or you're going to work on staff in a shared universe, you have to understand that everything you create belongs to. Well, it belongs to the company. Uh, is is the way you need to think about it from a legal perspective, but it belongs to the fans and the world. Once you create it, it's not yours anymore. You've created it, you put it in there, and now it's part of the milieu. Um, Michael in chat says if they treated, I think you're talking about the Fifth Age. If they did a Fifth Age product and treated it more like an alternative universe, like the universe or comic books do, that certainly, yeah, how they presented it would have a lot to do with how it was received. You're 100% right. Andrew says Stan Bertram's Guide to the Age of Mortals uh, was just read and reviewed this week on the Dragonlance Saga YouTube channel. Oh goodness, was it? Oh boy. Um, do I have any memories about that product? So I worked on two of the Bertram's Guide uh, novels, anthology products, and I can't keep them straight in my head. I would have to look at the book to remember what I wrote for it and try to drag up um, some of it. But I know that it I was asked to do it in the wake of having done the Dragonlance Bestiary, where I'd used Bertram as one of the core characters, one of the core voices in that book. And there's another one where because it was a very in-world style book. There were a lot of things I could do with that you wouldn't do in most normal RPG products. It had a very narrative feel to it, intentionally. So Bertram became one of those characters that I got to create. Of well, he had a voice before that, but he'd never really been a feature character. He'd been Margaret and Tracy certainly had him in their novels. He'd appeared, but I think that I got to set the modern tone for him. And I'll tell you, uh, no, no surprise here. I'm pretty sure I said this in several interviews at the time. Uh, the voice, my voice for Bertram, was uh, significantly inspired by. Can anyone guess who that might have been, or does anyone remember who I said? I'll give you a second or two to think about that and write it down, but then I'll tell you. Uh, it was a very popular character from a very popular TV show of the time. Um, I'll have to go look up that thing on the Bertram's Guide. So those Bertram's, I think I can tell you about the Bertram's Guides, where they were organized by um, by my good friend whose name is slipping my memory right now. Um, by Peter Archer, who was uh, in charge of the book department. I don't know if he was in charge at that time. If he wasn't, he was going to be very soon. And he was a former college professor uh, of classics, and a brilliant man and a lovely, lovely person. And so he was the person that, to my memory, was the driving force behind the Bertram's Guides products, books from the book department. All right, so let's see. He's kind of like Frasier, says Michael. So Bertram, in my writing, was based very much on Anthony Stewart Head's character Giles from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And I I got to meet Anthony Stewart Head at a local signing convention. Got him. I have his signature somewhere on something or other, and I got to tell him that I was working on the bestiary at the time, and I got to tell him that I'd done this and I was doing this, and he really didn't understand a lick of what I was talking about. I got a very kind of I got a very hesitant kind of, oh well, that good for you, good luck with that book, like kind of the look, I can't help you sell your book, and I don't want you to write books about me, as opposed to understanding that I was someone who was working on staff and writing a book that was absolutely going to be published in 6 months and was going to sell a bunch of copies. But yeah. So if you want a voice to try and picture when you're reading Bertram as far as when I'm writing Bertram, that's the voice to picture. Um, let's see what else we got going on here in the chat. Dragonlance Nexus has been working on with Richard Knack on a DM's Guild products, so that's good. There's so many creative ideas about the Fifth Age Dragonlance. Thank you, Chris. I played the Saga game for a few years on a DL live stream, and it's one of your favorite campaigns. Well, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. We've got more love for Aurora's Guide here. NPC Rogues Gallery for Planescape was great too. Yeah, Rogues Gallery. So here's an interesting thing. I don't know how many people have ever seen the original Rogues Gallery from first edition D&D. But every year when we would, particularly after the start of third edition, one of the things that would happen was we'd get to a point in the year where it was time to start planning out what products would be coming next. And one of the ways we almost always did that was throw it open to members of the team to suggest products they think should go on the schedule. And then we would have a meeting where people could look at them and comment on them and pitch for the ones they liked. And particularly some of them you'd look at and go, what in the world are you talking about? And then you could tell the person, this is what I was talking about. Or tell the creative, Bill Slavisek and the creative directors who would run the meeting. I was part of that group for a number of years. One of the products that came up in third edition every time we'd have one was a Rogues Gallery. and it was one that always people thought, yeah, that's a good idea, and it never survived the. We're going to pick which products we're going to do, and the business team had a lot of say in that. Or the business team would have a lot of say in what products on the list they thought would make um, good additions from a business perspective. As very often that would be the first choices would all be based on what does the business team think is good, or what do they want, and but there were spots for a few. Take a shot. Go ahead, kids. Take a shot at your crazy idea. We'll see if it works. But there were only a few slots every year, and the um, Rogues Gallery never survived that process of being the crazy idea that everyone liked, but the business team thought, no, that's not going to sell. No, that's not going to be a we should definitely do it book. That's got to be one of your we want to do it books. And it sadly never won that poll. Let's see. Hello, Lamasu Rex. Welcome. Glad you could join in. Sadly, we were going to have Troy Hewitt on with us, and we did for a while, but the tech gods decided that Troy should not stick around. He tried. He tried to defy the gods, but that never ends well. Not sure what I'm going to do about this lightning. I think that's going to get added in on a special effects layer. Alright. So another thing coming up here, I'm not at it yet, is very often when I'm doing these drawings, I will draw the whole character. So here, you see the dragon is going to go behind that that obelisk. But I haven't drawn the details of what happens to the dragon behind there. I will put some amount of detail. It won't be a fully completed drawing. I don't think I want to show too much more of him, but I may want to shift things around later on. So I will put some amount of detail beyond what we currently see in that area. Oh, you know what? If Troy's not coming back, I think I'm going to just switch over. There we go. We don't need that empty box sitting there, taunting us with the fact that we can't have Troy. You may notice that I keep pulling back and zooming in and pulling back and zooming in. And one of the reasons you see artists do that, they'll step back from what they're drawing and then step in. You want to so when I'm drawing here, I'm very focused in on what that is, but I need to occasionally stop and look and make sure that I'm serving the whole picture well. And also remember that sometimes details I draw in this zoomed in phase are going to be illegible at a more pulled out phase. So that's what's going on there. I'm not trying to make you motion sick. here again, I was talking about having lines of different weight. I'm going to make the thickness on the arms, or the arm, particularly the forearm and the hand, heavier than the face, so that it will feel closer to you, closer to the viewer. Here we go. So I think the hand is one area where I am going to draw detail that you won't see. I'm laughing at Michael in chat and um, his Calypso lyrics. Here again, I'm going to finish out this claw, despite the fact that we're not going to see most of it. But it does mean that if I want to shift the dragon or the characters and the obelisk a little, I have some extra detail to play around with. Let's see, what else is going on? What else do I want to chat about? I mentioned earlier that I'm going to be on the page, the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo live stream on Friday evening. I'm not sure what they will want to talk about, but I'm sure some of it will be page 3 and what's coming up. I recently did some more art for them. I don't know that it's been announced what it's for, so I won't say any more, but they will have Ron, the guy who's in charge of Page, will have something that he's going to be sharing in the not too distant future that will feature a little bit of Stan art. It's looking all right. How much does it show in the original drawing? How much does, well, see, well, there's one of the changes. I make changes to all of these drawings based on the format. First of all, I'm adapting these paintings by Jeff Easley and other great painters into cartoons by me. And I'm also changing the dimensions, which means there's lots of little shifts where it's not exactly what's shown in the picture. So here in the original, you can see the whole head. It's looming up above what's going on. But in my version, it's blocked. I've moved the characters and the obelisk forward, closer to the camera, closer to the viewer, um, and so it's changed some of the angles. Mm. Now I want to go back to the line weight. I want the line weight here. I'll switch to red so I can point. I want the line weight here that I'm doing now to match the line weight here. This is all stuff that's further back than the hand, which is up front. And I'm going to draw below what we can see on the obelisk. So I said that one of the things that Jeff was doing in this drawing that he was getting the chance to do was define what our new ultra giant dragons look like. And one of the things he definitely did was give them more human proportions. The dragons from the Fifth Age Dragon Lords have much more human kind of posture, and uh, um, their hands are more human hand-like than the typical D&D dragons at the time, or ever, really. And you mentioned before, Michael, the Larry Elmore's painting from the red box, and used many other places too. If you look at that, that's as close as dragons got to feeling kind of human in their anatomy, because he's reaching out towards you, but still, they don't feel as human in their body structure as Jeff's dragons did for the Fifth Age line. I never really talked to him about that. I don't know how much of that might have been something that was decided by the art directors, almost certainly in conjunction with him, or how much was just his decision to do. But it's absolutely something I notice. Now, you know what? I'll finish this leg. There's no way that any of this is going to get seen, but let's do that just for the fun of it. We'll finish the torso here. Absolutely lines we don't need for this drawing. When I was at the beginning, I was trying to decide whether I was going to include this obelisk in the drawing with the dragon, and I've just decided that I'm not. Do I have to? Oh, I think I do. I think I do. I need to include that one, but I'm not going to include this one, and I'm not going to include the character. But because this obelisk kind of exists in the space between the leg and the hand, I would have to either include it here in this layer, or I would need to make that arm a separate layer entirely and put it on and add an extra layer that's just the obelisk between the two. And I'm not going to do that. Right here, right now, I just made that decision. That's how it happens. You want to know how creative decisions get made? In a split second like that. I was saying he was going to ask if he did the concept drawings as well. Well, so he certainly did the cover art for the box set. I think Jeff did most of the covers for Dragonlance Fifth Age, at least the first year of products, probably more than that. So he got to define how a lot of things looked. But Don Murin, I believe, was the art director. Have to look at one of those products, and it'll say who the art director is. And whoever it was had a lot of say and worked with Jeff to come up with the answers. But he certainly got to, he got to define how the questions were answered. You didn't always get to pick the questions. Questions being, what does this look like? But he got to decide. He got to define the answer, and working together with the art director. Again, I think it's Don Murin, but I'm not sure. And his drawings, his decisions, would then be used to give instructions to the people who were doing the interior art. They would need to match the styles that had been created. Which is why I think you'll find that even the interior line art drawings of the Dragon Lords in Fifth Age also had that kind of more humanish anatomy. Looking good. How can I tell zoomed in? I just know. More of a challenge here. This dragony shape is carved onto the obelisk, so I'm going to make the brush size smaller. And last week on the Thursday show, I was talking about how it is you in drawing differentiate between a thing and a drawing of a thing, or a statue of a thing. It was a statue last on the show because that's what came up. We had a character that was turned to stone. And one of them is line weight, and one of them is completeness of drawing. So see here, I've chosen not to finish that line, and a couple of other places to increase the feeling that this is a line that. So there's a difference between, I'm going to use red again, between a line that represents the physical outline of a thing and a line that represents a detail carved onto a thing. Or, in some cases, a representative of a thing. So, let's say with the statue last time, what's the difference between drawing a child and drawing a statue of a child? How do you make it look like it's not? What can you do in a line drawing to get in that feeling of, oh, this isn't flesh and bone, it's stone. It's a statue of a kid. Or, in this case, a kid who's been turned to stone. Little easier in this case because there's going to be a lot of detailed color involved. I can also change the color of the lines, which I will be doing anyway. As I mentioned earlier, this part of the drawing, this layer is not going to be, the lines are not going to end up being black when it's all done. It's going to be a dark blue so that the characters in front will have a darker line and feel closer. There we go. Again, I can turn on that first group. So here we got our, if I turn off the sketches, we see we've got our dragon. It's a lot that's not there, but that's all going to be covered by those two characters. It's very messy. You can't really see that now, but again, when the coloring starts blocking them out, it will begin to look again like the sketch drawing. Alright, so that's there. What do I want? So now I want this character here, who's now just sitting there all ghostly like, he's got to have his own layer entirely, I think. So I'm gonna group that together with the dragon layer. So create a new layer, turn off that, and drop the opacity there so we can see it a little better. And now come to this new layer, and we're going to draw him. We use a smaller brush so we can get some better detail on him. But you see, even from the painting, there's not a lot of detail. Again, this is this zoom in problem. When I zoom in, I could put a lot of detail on him, but he doesn't have it here on the painting because in the final drawing, you don't want more detail than you need. You don't want so much detail that it draws the eye to a character who's supposed to be a small character kind of in the background. Or the midground, anyway. But let's see here. Got kind of a weird haircut. This character always did. At least in the 5th age, they always gave him this weird haircut. Again, I need to remember that he's going to be very small. So even though I could go into much more detail, I'm not going to. I'm going to put just the amount of detail, number of lines necessary, so that it reads with the information I want the viewer to have. Have I been watching during the Artemis mission? Have I been watching NASA? I absolutely have. Boy, it's been something awesome. I have some memories. I think we were talking about this last Thursday on the Random Encounters, during the Random Encounters live stream. I have some memories of Apollo. The Apollo missions. Particularly the final mission. And this definitely reminds me of that feeling, right? You just gathered around the TV. In this case, I'm gathered around, putting on my live, putting on the YouTube channel, the NASA YouTube channel, and watching the live feed. And right, not a lot is really happening, but it's live from the far side of the moon. It was great. I mean, again, I don't want to make this a political discussion, in part because this is one of the things I do to get away from that for an hour or so. But particularly with everything else that's going on in current events, to have something as wonderful and affirming to humanity as a species as this Artemis mission, really helpful. So I look at this painting, this part of the painting, and I look at what's going on here. He's got a blue tunic. Are those just big brown pockets on his blue tunic? I don't think I'm going to include big brown pockets. At first I thought, well, okay, those are pouches, and maybe that's a pouch. That just looks like a big brown pocket. But again, when looked at from its actual size, it you you don't it doesn't draw enough attention to make you question it. It's only when you zoom in that close. So I'm going to avoid that entirely and leave the big brown pockets off. And a lot of this, I'm putting some line work in here, but a lot of this is going to wind up being covered by dark, dark colors for the shadows. Not all of it, so we'll put it in there. I'm suddenly realizing that besides just I miss having a conversation with Troy and having someone to bounce ideas around with, I was going to try to bring some sumo conversation into this. A little something we don't usually see on the Wednesday show, but Troy and I do a show called the Sumo Show, where we talk about what's going on in Japanese Grand Sumo. Um, these days, we only do it during a tournament. There's not going to be a tournament for another month or more, but it would have been fun to maybe talk a little sumo. They're doing a live news conference from the capsule now. Oh, did they find any aliens? All right. So now in this grouping, I'm going to have the dragon and that character. And no, okay, now here's where it comes in. I'm going to have a separate layer that's going to have the special effects. The lightning in particular. So I'm going to make a new layer entirely. I'm going to look at some of these. So take that off. We're just going to look at where the lightning is. Make the brush even thinner. Now, for doing the lightning, again, this is a line art. This is a piece of line art. It's a cartoon. And the lightning, you see, is very wispy, non-specific, and I am giving it hard-edged lines because it's a line drawing. But I'm going to make those lines. I'm talking about the changing the lines of the characters at this to a dark blue so they feel black. I'm going to change these, what I'm drawing right now as black lines, into electric blue lines. And I'm going to make them glow a little. All that special effects stuff is going to happen in coloring. Now, this is another one of those bits where it's going over the mouth there, but it's going under the flange there. So it might be a little tricky. When doing the coloring in the final bits, there might be some more refining that needs to go in. But for now, I'm just going to draw it up to the edge and call it a good start. When I was doing the line drawing here, I was really wondering how I'm going to try to get that effect of the white glowing mouth. And I don't know the answer yet. I don't know the answer fully. I've got a couple of ideas. When it comes time, after I finish the line drawing and I start doing the coloring, I've got some different things I will try. And if you are curious, when all is said and done, ask me about it, and I'll tell you what I decided to do and how I pulled it off. If I knew now, I would tell you, but there are several things I've got to try and see which one works. Oh, no. What else? I'm not even sure what I'm thinking here with these lines. Did the sketch so light. Of course, the good news is that it's lightning, so it doesn't really matter. And like so many other of these kinds of things, there's I talk sometimes about what I do when I draw. I have to draw mountains, and I've got some tricks. Right, there's just some tricks you learn having drawn lightning as an effect that comes in a lot in superhero cartoons and other things one might like to draw as a young artist in training. Got many years of playing around with lightning effects in a line drawing. So, despite not knowing exactly what I wanted to do there, I've got a pretty good idea. How to just make it look magically just comes through. Now here's one. In the original painting, you see the lightning arcs between those two fingers, but with the positioning that I've shifted it around, that's not going to work here. So I'm just having lightning arcing around. I'm having it arc around the thumb. And we'll use that instead. Do the same thing here on this finger. Like that. It'll also be a challenge to kind of get that sense of depth so that one bolt of lightning seems to be passing in front of the other. That'll work out. Then one more. I want this one to seem to be coming off the hand. Like that. Maybe arc back onto that finger too. In fact, I think that I'm going to have it hit all three fingers. Because I can. There we go. Now this lightning is I'm going to do as part of the background. I see here it definitely comes in front of the wing, but I'm A, not showing that wing, and B, I'm just going to make it part of the background. But there you go. So this grouping here has got three things in it. It's got the lightning, it's got that character there. Let's turn off the pencils too. So it's got the lightning, it's got that character there, and it's got our big giant dragon. And in front of them, we've got the other grouping, which has the near monolith and the two characters in the foreground. Now, so all that really is left to do is to draw this background bit, that's going to go behind everything. I'm going to make that its own grouping of layers. So I'm going to close that grouping. We're going to start a new layer there. Let me put that in for a second and pause and take a sip. Sip of my soda. We've been going about 2 hours. I guess this really is between shows like this, it shows the amount of time that goes into creating, for me anyway, to creating a drawing like this. I did the pencil sketch in 90 minutes, less than 90 minutes. So I did it as part of an interview show. Well, not this one, but usually I finish a 90-minute interview show and I've got a pencil sketch. I'm doing the inks of that very same pencil sketch, and it's taken about 2 hours, and that's about right. Somewhere around 2 hours to do the final line drawing of what's going to be the finished cartoon. And then the coloring is usually 3 to 4 or 5 hours, depending. And I've done some shows here, some work in progress shows where I've done coloring. You've seen it took me a 2-hour show just to do the flats on a piece recently. So that's the speed it takes. And you know what? It's not to say that's what it takes everyone. And certainly, I'm sure that some other artists will look at me at what I've done and go, "Are you crazy?" Either because I'm doing it so slowly or because I'm doing it so fast. Everyone's got their own way. But for me, one of these cartoon homage drawings is about an hour and a half for pencils, about 2 hours, well, 2.5 hours, because this one is kind of light on background details. Let's call it 2.5 hours for line drawing, so there's 4 hours already, and then another, we'll call it 5 or 6 hours, so about 10 hours, 10 to 12 hours to do. Let's say 10 is a good average, but somewhere in that 10 to 12 hour range to do one of these cartoon homages. All right, so let's turn off those inks, and we've got a new layer here, and we'll go in and draw that quickly. Now this is going to be an even lighter dark blue for when it's done. Noticing that fourth obelisk in the background there. I think I want to get that in as well. Something that's in full silhouette. You know what? Right now, I'm thinking about where am I going to put my signature. Maybe it'll go down over his leg over there. So I usually pick one of the far corners, but we've got specific bits of of drawing with information that doesn't really want to be covered up. Again, this is supposed to wind up looking like it's a carving on the rock. And then we need a little more background. I'm going to draw behind. In fact, I'm going to finish this strip of land. Then we're going to draw another. I'm going to do this without even any pencils because it's just a basic shape. We want another obelisk back here. I'm not going to color it in. In fact, I'm not going to give it any details, but it's just going to be very, very dark. It's going to be silhouette. It's going to be in silhouette. And then, despite that there's no reason to, I'm going to add some details here in case I ever want to use it for something else. So that's one thing. That's all that's there. But then I'm going to add a whole other layer for this lightning up here. It's just going to be part of the background. And whatever I'm going to solve my lightning problem, how I'm going to do it when I'm doing that dragon layer. And then I'll need to modify it some so this lightning seems like it's in the distance. Now here I'm going to draw it. It's going to go behind the dragon when all is said and done, but I'll draw it out whole. Again, it gives me the opportunity to move it around a little to get the best effect when after the color has been added. Lightning, lightning, lightning. I noticed that I'm not talking as much. I've kind of ran out of the subjects I was talking about. I don't have anything else particular on my mind, and I know we're getting close to the end, so I'm just letting the silence hang over the room. If you do have questions, you want to drop them in the chat, I will keep an eye out. But we're getting towards the end. You notice we still have about a dozen people watching us in various places, so thank you for hanging around. There we go. Then I'll be doing some layered blues and making that cloud effect back there. But really, I guess if I turn the pencils off, you can see that that's all the drawing detail I need. All the rest of that is either going to be covered by characters or by that undulating blue color. So if I turn on the next set of layers, you can see there's our dragon. I think I want to finish. I'm looking here on him. I didn't quite finish that hand, which we know is going to be behind the other character, so it doesn't matter. But again, I want it to look somewhat finished. I mean, this whole area here is just not going to be seen at all. I don't feel like I need to do that. But you know, when I'm coloring it, I probably will. It'll feel more full because I'm going to do some shadows on the leg to show that he's leaning on it. But there we got our dragon and our secondary character. I guess he probably needs a little more. Hold on. Let me finish this thought. Group that here. Okay, turn that off. He does need a little thicker line. I was just noticing with the dragon and that he doesn't feel quite like he is physically there. So I'm going to come back in and give him a little. Ooh, no, not that thick. Just a little thicker outline, like I was doing at the beginning, just to make him pop. We can leave the inside details more delicate, but if you give the silhouette lines, anything that's supposed to appear to be in front of other things, just a little extra weight makes the whole character stand out a little stronger. Like that. Let's see. Yeah. A little more on the hair. There we go. That's good. I will certainly say that you were watching the live news conference. I understand. I'm not saying I know you were. You said that's what you had it on. And I don't blame you. As I said when you mentioned that, it's reminds me of the Apollo days, and I've been watching that, and I've been watching this, the Artemis stuff, very carefully, very closely. It's fascinating and well worth watching. I'm honored you kept me on in the background and didn't just say, you know what, Stan, I'll catch up on you on replay. I'm watching Artemis now. All right, so I'm going to turn on that group, and we can see that that's the background and the midground, and our foreground is going to be these characters. Now, it's all confusing mess right now, but when I put the colors in, it'll make sense. And after I do that, maybe before I do that, I can quickly add in some solid whites and make a coloring page. I think I'll do that. I will add in some solid whites, make a coloring page, and make that available for folks next week. If you are a member of the Substack, if you're a subscriber, free subscriber. I'm not saying you need to pay anything. I'm talking about the free versus the paid. The free subscriber get the coloring book. Also, if you are a subscriber to my Patreon community, remember the Patreon community, you again, free member will get the coloring page too. So yeah, do I make the coloring page now? I don't think I'm going to make the coloring page now. It's not going to be very interesting. It's going to be me filling in whites. We've already gone. We're closing on 2.5 hours, so I think I will do that off screen. But now you know it's coming. Thank you all for hanging out with me. I've had a good evening. Thank you, Troy, for coming and hanging around at the beginning and trying to hang out more. I know tech problems took it away, and I don't blame you, my friend. You did me a solid. You came and you hung out. As I say, if you are a subscriber to the 50 Years in the Dungeon.substack.com newsletter, if you're a free subscriber, you will get the coloring page version of the drawing I just did today, almost certainly next week. And if not, then the week after. And you will be the first to see the finished version when it's done. I send that out to subscribers to the Substack. I want you guys to get to enjoy it before anyone else. You've been kind enough to spend some time with me. I want to give something back. Also, if you like what I do in general and you want to be part of it, you may want to become a member of my Patreon community. Patreon.com/Stanex. That's STANNEX. And there's also a thing you can be a free member. There are lots of things that people who subscribe to that for free get. And then there's more things, extra things, that if you become a paying member, there are different levels. Whatever works for you. If you are in a position that you can support, you can back what's doing here. You want to show your appreciation. You want to make it easier for me to do more things like this. Well, in this weird economy we live in this weird capitalist society we live in, to some extent, time is money, right? In order to spend more time, money's got to come from somewhere. I am a freelance game designer and cartoonist. If I don't get money for my work, I don't get money, and my landlord likes to get paid. So, like I say, if you can, I would honor you becoming a paid member of either the Substack or the Patreon. If you can't, I understand that too. Become a free member. Come and join in. There's plenty of free going on, plenty of good, cool stuff, and I'd like you to be part of my community. So, I will be back tomorrow night with a new episode of Random Encounters, the improv cartooning show. And then on Friday night, I will be on the Page, the Philadelphia Area Gaming Expo live stream. That's at 6:30 Pacific, 9:30 Eastern on Friday evening. I will, in fact, post a story, and a link about that in both the Substack and the um, and the Patreon and my social media. So check it out somewhere and come on Friday, hang out. You get to meet the folks from Page. Michael will certainly be in that chat. Michael will be back tomorrow for the Random Encounter show. We'll have a good time. Till then, have a good night, everyone. Take care, and I will see you soon.